What's up guys, Rob here with another tutorial build video for the Crusader for patch 2.4.3 and or season 7. In this video I will be covering the Hammerdin build. This is a build that already existed in the past but has been changed up with the introduction of a new item effect or a item power, which I will be getting to in a moment. In this video I will be covering the gear, the legendary gems, stat priority on gear, skills, ruins, passives, and the cubed items for this build. And at the end of the video, make sure to stick around because I will be including a gameplay or a rift clear that I did with this build. It is just a 70 or a 75. I believe it was a 70 greater rift that I cleared with this build. This build is clearly capable of 90 plus. Currently, it's actually clearing 99 on the PTR, which I am playing right now. But I just threw this entire set together last night. So I only have a couple of hours put into this gear, and I'm already doing mid-70s relatively easily. So keep that in mind when you watch the gameplay video. So that will be at the end, so you can actually see how this build functions and plays. So make sure to stick around at the end. So that being said, I will jump into the gear first and cover the gems as well. Obviously, for your first piece, you're going to be using the set helm, Crown of the Light. On this helm, you're going to want to use, roll Blessed Hammer damage and crit damage. Right now, I don't have an ideal roll. I just have Vitality and then skill damage. This is a pretty squishy build, so in a lot of pieces, you're going to see I have survivability rolls, whereas I could and probably should eventually switch over to a damage roll. But like I said, I just put this set together last night. Shoulders, Mountain of the Light, set piece, obviously. Again, I could and probably will eventually roll that life percentage into area damage for added damage, but for the moment, I am rolling life. Gloves, Will of Light, set gloves. Ideal roll on this would be strength, crit damage, crit chance, and area damage. But again, I have vitality because I feel squishy at the moment, being as how I just put this set together. Chest, set chest as well. Currently sitting on Strength, Vitality, Resist. Neck, Traveler's Pledge. Ideally, I would like to drop the Vitality and pick up Holy Damage, but this is what I have, so I'm running with it. Paired with a Compass Rose. Preferably, I'd like to drop probably the Resist for area damage or crit chance, or even attack speed. Any of those would be great. This is going to definitely benefit a lot from attack speed. The faster you attack, the more hammers you're going to be able to crank out, but crit chance and crit damage and area damage are still all very viable stats. You can get extra attack speed from your next piece, Witching Hour. I see a lot of people don't use the Witching Hour. Some people like to use the Sacred Harness, but this is just my variation of the build. There's like 3 or 4 different ways to build, play this build or set this build up. This is just how I am doing it, and you'll see why I'm not using that here in a little bit. Bracers, Gabriel's Van Braces for the obvious Blessed Hammer, 99% Wrath cost reduction, refund rather. Ring, Unity, obviously going to be paired with a Unity on my follower. Because, like I've stated before, this is a pretty squishy build. I know it's a Crusader, it's a shield-based class, but it's a pretty squishy build, so you need to stack as much survivability and damage reduction as possible. Unity is definitely a really good way to go. Some people like to use Convention of Elements, but I don't feel like I'm surviving enough, so I'm using a Unity instead. Towers of Light, set legs. Foundation of Light, set boots. Guard of Johanna? I don't know how to pronounce that. Ideally, you want to get your strength, cooldown reduction, and your Blessed Hammer damage, and Vitality is really nice to have as well. Like I said, more survivability, the better. Weapon, Johanna's Argument. This is not a very good roll. This is just what I happen to get. Eventually, I would like to drop that Vitality for 10% increased damage. And as you probably already saw while I was going through these, I'll go over the legendary gems again just so you see. Bane of the Stricken, not a whole lot of flexibility there. That's going to be great for taking down the bosses and just all around damage increase. Bane of the Trapped, again, not much flexibility there. That's just an amazing damage increase. And then Swiftness. This one is interchangeable with a couple other gems. I like this one because it gives you attack speed, dodge, and cooldown reduction. There are a couple other gems that I see people swapping out for, and those two would be either the esoteric alteration for the just straight up survivability increase, which is very viable and actually might benefit some people's playstyle more than others. All around great gem. Or the pain enhancer. This one's going to give you a 3% increased attack speed, which is going to allow you to, with the secondary bonus, of course, which is going to allow you to crank out that much more hammers that much faster. I feel like the swiftness gem is the best of all worlds. You get attack speed, dodge, and cooldown reduction. It's all around a really decent piece. You get survivability, you get more damage, and you get cooldown reduction. More cooldown reduction means you're going to have more survivability from your uptime on your skills. So this one, I've had the best results with this one, but these two are still very viable choices, and I see people running either one of these on a pretty fairly regular basis. Let's go ahead and move into the actual skills. For my left click, I have Blessed Hammer, Limitless, Falling Sword, Part the Clouds. Now, I see a lot of people use Flurry, but I am using Part the Clouds to give me a proc on my Hammer Jammers, which I will get into later for the stun. My number one key, I have Laws of Justice, Faith's Armor. This is more beneficial for solo play. If you are in a group, a lot of people like to use Laws of Valor with critical or unstoppable force. For solo play, I feel like Laws of Justice, Faith's Armor is a lot better because it's just going to give you a lot more survivability, and I just really like being able to stack up my survivability when I'm already playing what I feel like is a squishy playstyle or build. Next is Provoke, Too Scared to Run. Pairs well with the set bonus because there is a set bonus for Provoke. Every use of Blessed Hammer that hits an enemy reduces the cooldown of Falling Sword and Provoke by 1 second. So that's just a really nice skill to have because it's going to come off cooldown pretty quickly. You can spam it really fast to regen your Wrath. I almost said Fury. Iron Skin Flash for my next key. I like this because the Flash is going to give you a 60% movement speed increase whenever you're hit when the skill is active, because this build does not have any movement speed skill like the Steed Charge or any kind of other skill. So having this will at least get you some movement speed increase. That paired with Falling Sword to get out of sticky situations, you can get around relatively quickly. Without using the two of those, you're pretty slow. So this definitely helps increase your movement speed and just your all-around efficiency. Then Akarat's Champion, Prophet, there's not a whole lot of flexibility with this. This is basically what your survivability is going to revolve around. When you have this up, your survivability goes to the roof, and when it drops, you're probably going to drop. So you want to make sure you're keeping that up as often as possible. First passive, Blunt, pretty standard, 20% damage increase. Holy Cause, Indestructible. Now, I see a lot of people don't use Indestructible. Some people use Finery, which will give you strength, 1.5% strength, which will give you damage and survivability, but I feel this build is squishy enough to where at the moment, at my current gear level, I need Indestructible. I'm sure at some point in time I could probably switch over to Finery once my survivability all around has gone up, but I feel Indestructible is far more beneficial for me at the moment, at this exact moment. And Fervor for my last passive. Increased attack speed and cooldown reduction while using a one-handed weapon. All around, awesome skill. Paragon point distribution. Dumping all of my points into, well, movement speed. I already have 10, I only need 15. And then strength. Didn't realize I had those distributed incorrectly. There we go. Movement speed maxed up to 25, and then dump the rest into strength. Offense, cooldown reduction, attack speed, then crit damage, crit chance. Cooldown reduction to keep your skills up, attack speed to crank out hammers, damage, and crit chance for more damage. Resist all, armor, life, life regen. Utility, resource cost reduction, no, area damage, resource cost reduction, life on hit. And then gold fine's pretty much useless, so yeah. Area damage, resource cost reduction, life on hit. go ahead and move into the cubed items. I like to actually go over to the cube physically and show them off. Faithful Memory. Each enemy hit by your falling sword is going to increase your blessed hammer damage by 60% for 10 seconds. At one point in time, I don't believe there was a maximum stack. Now there's a maximum stack of 10. So it can only be stacked up to 10 times. But that's still a very large increase if you manage to hit 10 people. And you're going to want to keep this buff up at all times, as often as possible, by using your falling sword every time your Faithful Memory bonus is about to drop off. Now, like I was mentioning earlier, I am using Part the Clouds with the stun bonus to proc my hammer jammers. Enemies take 400% increased damage by your blessed hammer anytime they're immobilized, blinded, or stunned. And they are getting their stun from falling sword. So you're going to want to be using that as often as possible to proc the 400% increased damage from your hammer jammers. Now, some people like to use the belt because the belt is actually going to proc your hammer. Your Sacred Harness belt is going to proc your hammer jammers, and that's when you can switch over to the other ruin, but that's not the route I went. I like using Witching Hour for the extra damage that it cranks out, so I had to switch over my Falling Sword to proc my hammer jammers. Makes sense, right? All right, and the last slot, the ring or jewelry slot, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, very crucial for this build. It's going to bring your skills off cooldown as you're spamming your attacks. And you're going to be able to spam your Laws of Justice, Provoke, Iron Skin, and your Champion form considerably faster if you have Ring of the Zodiac. Not a whole lot of flexibility with these 3 items, actually none, if I'm not mistaken. Prior to the Faithful Memory, existing, people were using the Furnace, if I can find it, for the 50% increased damage to elites. Now you get 60% to every mob, stacked up to 10 times. There's no real comparison. Furnace is now obsolete. Faithful Memory is now the only real way to go. That being said, I think that's all I've got for this build at the moment. Before you go, though, make sure you check out the information below. I'm going to put a link to my Facebook down there. And if you like this video, or if you like this build, or if you have any other questions or suggestions, be sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below, and share and like this video. Be sure to stick around for the gameplay and Rift afterwards. That's about all I got for today, guys. Have a good day.